So you're thinking about moving to Parkville, Missouri. In this video, we are going to look at the map and go over all things Parkville, what you need to know, how to get around, and how to get there. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to tell you from somebody that lives in the Parkville area, some of my top 3 reasons for living in the Parkville. And we're going to get started right now. Hey, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you want to know everything there is to know about living in Kansas City in spots like Parkville, Missouri, then click subscribe, hit the little bell so you can be the first to know of the current market here in the Kansas City area. My name is Zach Morton. My business partner Max Jones, the team and I have been helping people move in Kansas City for over 20 years. But you don't have to take my word for it. See what our clients have to say with over 600 5-star Google reviews from people just like you. So pick up the phone, give us a call, shoot us a text, drop us an email, or schedule a Zoom so we can get together and discuss the best way to help you make a smooth move into the Kansas City market. All right, so today we are talking about Parkville. And like I said, I born and raised in the Parkville area and currently still live here. So we are gonna jump on the map right now and take a look. So what I like to start with first off with Parkville is just to show everybody kind of where we're at in relationship to Kansas City. So I always like to start these videos with Kansas City, Kansas and Kansas City, Missouri. So everybody knows that we are talking about 2 different sides to Kansas City. And what I've just drawn in here is pretty much the border. This is the Missouri side and this down here is the Kansas side. So now that we've got that established, you can see that Parkville, Missouri, what we're talking about, is right here on the Missouri side, and it's on the southwest side of Missouri in Platte County. We've got the airport is right up here, and then Parkville sits right on here. It is a little city that sits right on the river, a little river town. A lot of these places are around the Kansas City area because that's where the settlers came through. When they started heading west, they got off the boat here and started making their way out that way on the Oregon Trail. So we've got a lot of history around that. So now that we know where Parkville's at, so Parkville is located in the Northland. So that's something when you're in the area, you'll hear people say north of the river, south of the river, and that can be on the Missouri or the Kansas side. So obviously here is our river running through right here, the Missouri River. And anybody who lives north of the river would be a Northlander or north of the river. And anybody that lives south of the river, they say, yeah, we're down south or down south of the river. So you'll hear that when you're out here talking about people or talking to people and moving around the area. It's not a very large footprint of a city. This is coming in right at about 15 square miles. And the population is also not that big, coming in right at 8,300 people. So a very small city, but what most people that live in Parkville are after, or the big draw to the Parkville area, it's not necessarily for Parkville, although Parkville is sweet and I don't want to discredit that at all. It is a very prestigious place to live, but they're coming here for Park Hill schools. So the Park Hill School District, let me pull that up real quick just so you can see what that looks like overlaid on Park Hill School District. As you can see here, the Park Hill School District is much larger than just Parkville. And when you look at the Park Hill School District as a whole, about 75 square miles of land with a population, I think, of 74,000. So the square miles and the thousands, so 74,000 population. So much bigger than 83 than just the little Parkville, and much more land. And Park Hill School District is one of those A+ school districts. There is 3 high schools, 5 middle schools, and 11 elementary schools. All of them are highly rated. It is a great spot. I'm actually, not that that's saying much, I'm a product of the Park Hill School District. And then there's also several private schools. There's Montessori schools and all kinds of other private schools that also fall within this district if that's something that's important to you. But this video is going to be kind of about getting around in the Park Hill School District and the Parkville area and kind of what you need to know about that. Parkville, as you can see on this map right here, Parkville is right there, and it's one of the highest priced areas. The cost of living is high. It's right there with Overland Park and Lake Lotawana. We've done Leawood. We've done some other videos on those areas too you can check out, but really what makes the cost of living as a whole high up here is the property. So it's such a small footprint and it has several desirable neighborhoods. It really drives the price up. So you can check out our Parkville vlog tour. We go through a couple different neighborhoods, show you some houses at different price points and kind of see what these houses look like. But the average or the median price point for Parkville proper, this little 15 square miles, is $484,000. That's information directly from the multiple listing service over the last 12 months. And then when we zoom back out, we look at the average price point for the Park Hill School District. It was $422,000, so $422,000. So quite a bit less. And then the median price point was $370,000, so it even comes down from that. And I can tell you, if you're looking for property, there is stuff in the 250s that happens. It's not often. When it does right now, you got to jump on it, you know, multiple offers and all that. But there is some neighborhoods, Walnut Creek, some smaller areas that'll have more affordable housing. But for the most part, if you want to get into some of these prestigious neighborhoods, which we've got golf course communities, lake communities. Right here is Riss Lake. To talk about our neighborhood vlog on Parkville, we go take a look at a house here. But this is an awesome community. As you can see, it's pretty big. Really nice lake community. It was done up in the 90s, so lots of newer construction, good size homes, and you have this lake access. So this isn't, there are other lake communities in the Park Hill School District that you can live right on the water with a dock in your backyard. Riss Lake isn't one of those. Riss Lake, as you can see, really when you're on the water and all the trees are in bloom in the summer and spring, you can't really see a lot of houses, so it kind of has that secluded feeling, which is super nice. They also have, this neighborhood was done really well. They've got several pools, they've got several parks, they've got tennis courts, and they're all spread out, so no matter where you live here, you're close to some of that. And then there is a community dock over in this section, so you can have a pontoon out there. You will only be able to use an electric motor, which, you know, it's kind of nice. Nobody's skiing out there. Fishing's great. It's quiet. It's peaceful when you're out there, and everybody has access to can have access to that dock. And then, like I said, parks, lots of streets that kind of wind down in here. As you get closer to the lake, we've got some really nice streets. I mean, kind of the sky's the limit on price. We've got some mega mansions over here. But you can get down and kind of be secluded in these cul-de-sacs, and it really does feel like you're in a little cabin in the woods on a mountain lake, and really cool. And then you're just close to, as you can see, right here we've got Hy-Vee. This is your little grocery shopping area. We've got Hy-Vee. There's Sprouts across the street, which is the Whole Foods place, and then Aldi's went in right here. This little area right here is a little restaurant. There's a grocery store here called Price Chopper. This will also have restaurants like Nick and Jake's. There's a new 5-star kind of dining experience that went in here. A couple little eateries, shops, and that kind of goes on down south. There is a community center, or a Y. Right in here, there's the Parkville Athletic Sports Complex. Indoor volleyball, indoor basketball. That's where my daughter has a lot of her practices, so that's really nice. And then you've got, of course, the nice, cute little quaint old downtown Parkville. It was established back in the 1840s by a guy of the name of George Park. So there is as you can see this green area down here, a massive park on the riverfront, which is super cool. But it's not named Parkville because of this park. It's named because of George Park, and he had a little post office here on Main Street. When they incorporated the town, it was like 1844 or so. They gave it his name. One of the first things he did was wanted to build a Park University, which is right here. It has a nice steeple, really cool building, cool architecture, and a lot of history there, right on the river. Really cool spot. That's the lake property. Let me clean this map up a little bit. And then we also, I mentioned, so that's going to keep prices high because living on a lake is going to cost you a little more. We got a lake taking up a big chunk of Parkville, and then we've got a golf course right over here taking up another huge chunk. And this is going to have, your golf community. So this is the National Golf Club. This was designed by Tom Watson. So everything's new or nice, laid out really well. There's a clubhouse, and depending on what package of membership you want when you move into the area, you don't have to be a member of the golf course, but If you do, they've got a restaurant with a nice dining experience. There's a swimming pool for the kids and parks, you know, putting greens. There's driving ranges. Right at the entrance to this subdivision, you can kind of see it right here. Roxanne's Cafe, which is going to allow you to drive your golf cart right to breakfast on a Saturday or Sunday morning if you're not taking up golf, and just access to everything. So this is laid out really nice. In our blog, again, we go in there and we look at a $3 million property. So you can be on the golf for $3 million on a 7,000 square foot house built in 2020. Absolutely beautiful. So that's an option, but for the most part, you can get in here for $400,000 or $500,000 living back off golf, but still have access to the golf. And that's kind of what, you know, skews those property values up, is we got some mega mansions that you can be on right here in the Parkville area. So that's another cool community. We've got, it's called Thousand Oaks, and this is a really nice subdivision. It has a lot of pools, more geared, I would say, towards families, walking trails, but they're, every time I'm in this neighborhood, they have a large swimming pool, so there'll be some swim meets that we, you know, we're traveling around the area with, my son was in swimming for a while. Pools are always full, there's always kids everywhere, and on any of the holidays or special events, when you're going in there to like drop your kids off, man, Halloween, holy cow, is it off the hook. You can't even hardly park on the side of the street. It's just, there's so many kids, and everybody has a great time there. I've got a lot of friends that live in there and clients, and they absolutely love it. So it's another one of those nice neighborhoods. They're still building in there today. They've been building for a long time, but all the homes are sizable. It's done really nice. It's laid out really nice with sidewalks. So that's a little bit about Parkville proper. There is a little main street. It's one of my favorite places in the Northland to kind of hang out. It's not a huge downtown area. We've just got maybe 7 or 8 blocks of shopping and hanging out, but there is, what's nice is it's easy to park. So there's a railroad track, this very active railroad. If you go down there and hang out for any amount of time, you're definitely going to see a train go by. Very active railroad, and a lot of that is taking coal. We have a power plant up over in this way, Iatown, and it uses coal. And it's one of the, it's like state of the art. The air, the exhaust that comes out of that power plant is cleaner than the surrounding air. And actually, they've got some process they do. The coal fumes or smoke that's coming out, they like blast steam across it or something. I don't know. It turns gypsum falls out. Gypsum's what they make drywall out of. So it's a power plant that also produces gypsum and produces cleaner air coming out than the air in the area. So I don't know. Right here is the main hanging out, strolling around downtown. Over here is Park University, which is a very nice university, very prestigious, and we've talked about that in some of our other blogs. But if you're looking for get a master's degree, some of the main programs that is business administration, criminal justice, geography, information and computer science, psychology, and then sports exercise science. Great little spot there, and a very nice campus. Lots of things to do and walking trails. It is one of my favorite parks in Kansas City. It's a riverfront park. There is a walking trail that's over 5K, I know, because I've done a 5K run down here. And it's gravel, crushed gravel, and also you'll see some of this is paved. It's got little shortcuts, so if you want to do a short walk, you can come back, you can go all the way down, and it just keeps going that way. And then over here, there'll be a couple dog parks on this side. Paved, walking trail right along the river. So just a lot of space. This is all kind of river bottoms, so really flat area, no construction. Right before you go across the railroad tracks, which is this line right through here, there's this old mill emporium. There's some nice little shops right down in there that you can check out. And there's a restaurant, a coffee shop right here on the corner. But then also up here on Main Street, which finders keepers, like odds and ends things. I know when we like get a vacant house that we're selling and it's got old stuff like records and stuff, there's a little shop here I can sell old records to, and they'll resell them full of watches and just knickknacks and stuff. There's a clothing store, a couple clothing stores. There's Stone Canyon Pizza, which is amazing. And then my all-time top 3 Reuben sandwiches in my life are right here at the Crack, which is a nice little Irish pub. Has a nice sized menu, so you can go in there and get yourself a pint of Guinness and a Reuben sandwich. And I think what makes their Reuben sandwich amazing is they use Wagyu corned beef. If you find yourself there and you're a Reuben guy, go check that out, because it's made the top 3 of my existence. And then we've got Parkville Coffee, cool little coffee shop. It's always fun to go in there and hang out. Piropos, Nice little restaurant up on the hill. There's mini golf down here. So all kinds of fun things to do for an afternoon. They've got disc golf course that runs right down the middle of this. There is some sand volleyball here, and there are some pickleball courts right there. There is some heated outdoor restrooms that stay, open all year round, so you can still use the bathroom because it does freeze here. At some parks you'll find they shut the bathrooms down because you don't want to be running water to something that's not heated and cold, but this is. And the farmer's market happens down here too in this huge parking lot in the spring and summer. And they'll have parties, Christmas on the river, Mother's Day, Father's Day, beer festival that goes on down there where you can go down there and taste all these beers from all the microbrewers in town. It's just an easy place to park. You can get a lot of people down there. It's a great spot to host events like that. And then in the summertime, there's carnivals with Ferris wheels, and all that happens right down here. So this is a great spot just to go hang out. It's never crazy and loud. It's never overrun with people. It's just nice and quiet. It's one of my favorite things about living in this area is having access to this park. You can ride bikes. You can do whatever you want down there. So a lot of fun. There is a boat ramp right here too. So if you like to fish, you have a boat, you want to get in the Missouri River and go cruising, you can do that. Even out this way, if you're into guns and stuff, there's a outdoor shooting range. It's probably 3 or 4 miles down the road, not in Parkville, but or you can go out there and shoot rifles. You can shoot pistols, and then they have an archery spot too. It's an outdoor range. Very it's always managed, so there's always somebody on site that's kind of making sure everybody's safe. And if you're rapid firing or doing anything like that, they'll call you out. And Parma Woods is the shooting range. So now that we kind of know Parkville, you've got like the little Main Street boutique-y stuff down there. Let's go in and just look at the other kind of main eating shopping district to see if I missed any restaurants. Got Nick and Jake's, Library, Sonic, some Mexican restaurants, China Star, Dairy Queen, Price Choppers right here. We talked about that. Thanks. Over here is a lot of indoor sports facilities. I know my son has baseball practice, so you'll see some indoor training facilities. There's a couple baseball places and some other stuff. So the sports in the Northland is kind of a big deal. It's just you see lots of club teams, whether it's soccer, whether it's baseball, basketball. So there's lots of clubs, whether you're in high school sports or not, but lots of club teams that you can kind of become part of. They're in your neighborhood. There's the Y, which is right here, old Ace Hardware store, which is one of my favorite things versus like the Lowe's and the Home Depots. I miss the little hardware stores. And actually it's over here right now. They moved that. I forgot about that. Now let's zoom out a little bit and talk more about the school district, because I think the draw, like I said to this area, I don't live in Parkville proper. If you put Parkville on my envelope, I'll get Parkville. Mail will land at I'll get mail to my house. So I've got the same zip code and all that as Parkville. But I'm over here at one of the lakes, right? So I told you there's other lakes that you can live on. Now, Weatherby Lake and Lake Wacomas are both lakes that you can live on, have a property on, where you have a boat right behind your house on the water. So that's more of a, hanging out on the lake, seeing all your neighbors, everybody, you are looking in windows when you're driving around the lake, you see everybody's backyard. So it's kind of more set up like that. And then Weatherby's scaled slightly above that, a little bigger lots, a little bigger properties you'll find at Weatherby. And what comes with that is higher price points too. So you can get into Lake Wacomas right now for 300s for second tier, which is on the side of the street away from the lake, and for 425, 450 up for first tier. And then Weatherby is going to be a couple $100,000 above that. They have a second and a third and a fourth tier. So you can get out there and still have lake rights and all that. But if you want one of the houses on first tier, they're starting to get close to like 700 and up. Kind of the sky's the limit. There's even a castle out here that's worth checking out that I think just sold a couple years ago for $4 million, where they imported stones all the way from Europe to build this thing years ago. So it's a castle around the lot. It's worth seeing if you're in the area doing a drive-by. So those are a couple of the lake communities, and super easy to get around. Like I said, the footprint up here is about 75 square miles for the Parkville School District, with a population of like 74,000. So a lot of the other subdivisions like Overland Park had 200,000, which is down here. Independence, a similar footprint, had 110,000. So It's not, a lot of the construction in the Kansas City area went to the south, and specifically on the Kansas side over the last 20 years. They just started, and then they just kept growing that way. And it's gotten to a point where, you know, you're getting pretty far from the airport, which is up here, and it's just starting to get out there, right? If you're gonna, you know, find new land or raw land and start going, you really got to start getting far away from the city, and that's not necessarily the case with the Northland, right? So if you're like downtown, let's say, is right here, that's pretty far, and there's a lot of traffic to get through because it's pretty dense. And up here, and then you've got all this land to build, and really the construction's kind of booming here lately. So we expect this. Facebook's bought some land here off of 169 highway, and they're going to be putting in like a 5 million or 1 million square foot facility. I can't remember what it is. So that's going to bring in a lot of jobs and a lot of people, and all of this can start to build in this direction, and that's kind of what we're predicting. And really a great spot. Like the airport's right here. That's one of my favorite things about living in the Northland is, you know, I'm just right, I'm to the airport in 10 minutes. I'm downtown in 12 to 15 minutes to fine dining or to shows or whatever you want to see. You know, you go down there for your entertainment. And then just lots of golf and lakes, and still plenty of things to do. We have a really nice lake in the Northland called Smithville Lake. This is a lake you cannot live on, Corps of Engineers Lake, but you can have big boats out there, you can ski on it, you can fish on it. There's a marina, there's several boat ramps all around it, and lots of camping, so you'll see people camping up there. Campgrounds all over the place. So just a really fun lake to have access to in the Northland. Northland really has a lot of cool stuff going on. We're close to everything, and we have half the traffic. You know, I said if you stick around to the end, I'll kind of tell you some of my favorite things about that, and that is having access to this lake, having access to this area right down here with this huge park, having access to North Kansas City, which kind of has that industrial, like old industrial downtown feel, but you're not getting into all the crazy traffic. So down here we've got like our chicken and pickles gone in down here, and there's a bunch of breweries, and this is like that old industrial kind of train yard feel where all the buildings are maybe 2 stories, 3 stories, but no skyscrapers, just everything's low. A lot of old train yard buildings, wide streets, easy parking, easy to get around, and very walkable, so you can kind of go restaurant, bar hopping, super safe and fun to get to. That's really what I like about Parkville School District area, is you've got access to all that, A+ schools, and then, you know, while you're talking to Northland, something else we're checking out is we have a vlog on Liberty. Liberty has great schools. We have the Staley School District, you know, basically. And these are kind of the top 3 school districts in the Northland, remember, north of the river, that you can land in. We're just kind of focused on Parkville School District, or the Parkville side right now. So, all right, so as we are looking at this, you can see those other 2 lakes we just talked about are listed. Now, on the Missouri side, we've talked about this in a lot of our videos too. There's an e-tax if you live in Kansas City, or if you work in Kansas City, Missouri. Live in Kansas City, Missouri, or work in Kansas City, Missouri. There's an e-tax where you might have to pay 1% of your earnings to Kansas City, and that goes to cover their streets and fire protection, police protection, and maintenance and stuff like that, trash. But if you live in a town like Parkville, Platte Woods, or there's lots of these little cities inside of the Parkville School District, you're going to get away from all of that. So just something to consider. Farmers Market, there is a couple restaurants in here. We have a Brazilian grill. In the wintertime, there is a little ice skating rink that they have, and play some volleyball. And then there's some other shops here. This is like a shopping district, the village of Burlington Creek. We'll have a couple, you know, your tanning, dry cleaning, a couple little restaurants, sandwich shops, Italian food, all that you can get right there. There's a fish place right here too. So there is some nice restaurants in the Northland. Got another kind of shopping district over here. This is Zona Rosa. This is an outdoor mall area. A couple restaurants. We've got Bravo, and then out here behind Bravo, which is an Italian restaurant and bar, they've got a little park out in the back. They'll have a lot of concerts here. In fact, we sponsored a concert series last summer out here for the Mojo Real Estate team, but they'll have music, live performances. Half the time if I'm up here getting dinner, they have a back patio, and you can sit out there and watch live music, and there's a jungle gym for the kids and all that. There's some other restaurants here and shops.
There's some pickleball right here. We've got 54th Street Bar and Grill, which is a popular spot. Some Victoria's Secret, you know, all the girly stuff right there. The Buckle. There's Barnes & Noble, Dick's Sporting Goods, and then over on this side is another little shopping district. This is going to have your Lowe's, your Home Depots, your Walmarts, Hobby Lobby, and kind of the big box stores on this side. Then there's another area that went in here in the last 10 years, and this is where there's a lot of new construction going on up in this area. And this is going to have some more restaurants, vitamin shops, kind of the JCPenney's, Marshalls, clothing, Best Buy, Guitar Center, kind of all that kind of stuff. And it's right there, easy to get to around the highway. So you got 1, 2, 3 sides, 3 intersections of shopping around the highway, and then a straight shot on I-29 to the airport. So we just got a new airport. I've touched on that in a lot of these videos, but it's going to be new for a couple years to me, and it is really excited about that. I've got actually here in a week I get to go take my first flight out in the new airport. So but it's just going to bring more opportunities for direct flights out of Kansas City. We're located right in the middle of the country, so super easy to get to places because you're so close to everything. Even though we may not be living in the mountains or on the coast, we are right in the middle, so it is easy to get to all that stuff. And you know, we'll go down here to Cancun or Isla Mujeres, is where a lot of people go for their beach vacations, and that's like 4 hours. You're sitting on a beach. You know, 3 hours to Florida, and you know, easy to get to the coasts. And then Colorado, you can drive out there in 10 hours or so, and you're up in the mountains skiing. And then you will have to fly for an ocean beach, but we do have lakes with lake beaches, and we have a good time here in the water in the summertime. So I think that's gives you a good idea how to get around. I-29 is our main highway that runs through here, and then 152 is the main highway that goes east and west to get you around. And then other than that, you know, it's real easy to travel.
You know, if you have any other questions or think I missed on something, I think we talked a lot about this little town of 8,300 people and 15 square miles, but hope that paints a better picture and you kind of get a good feel for it. And if you have any questions or anything that I didn't hit on, or you live in Parkville and think I missed something, just throw it in that description, or throw it in the messages below, and I love getting comments and we'll respond to that. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. That's what we're here for. So phone call, text, email, whatever. All that information is in the description below. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful. And if you don't mind and you found it useful, give it a like. I appreciate you. All right, till next time.